Welcome to Daggers and Shadow Daddies.
We're your hosts, Ryan and Adriana.
Buckle up, Buttercup.
Quick disclaimer, this is a reread for Fourth Wing and Iron Flame as we prepare for the book Onyx Storm. Spoilers ahead.
I'm a little disappointed that you're making light of something that killed so many people. It's a little bit like finding out your wife really enjoys Holocaust jokes.
No!
It's pretty similar.
No!
So many people died and you want to read a romance novel, literally romanticizing the thing that murdered so many.
I found...
Yeah, go ahead. Now you know where I'm going to take it.
A sci-fi romance series. I don't know what it's called, but there is a 5-part book series, Kissing the Coronavirus.
Isn't it 6 books?
There's 5 books.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right, it's not as bad as I thought.
Kissing the Coronavirus 2, 3, and then on book 4, it's COVID Claws. And then book 5 is Coronavirus versus Monkeypox.
Yeah. Again, I looked at that and was just like, what the fuck are you reading? Because it seems like, and I could be wrong, but love interest is COVID.
I can't tell if it's the virus itself or if it's like someone gets the virus. It says, the book summary, Dr. Holly Mistletoe seeks joy this Christmas, which seems impossible amidst her zoology job until she encounters a unique Santa carrying a deadly secret.
Well, look at the first book, right? Kissing COVID.
Kissing the Coronavirus. It's 16 pages.
Look that up. Kissing the Coronavirus does not have the same ring to it as kissing COVID.
It doesn't. Maybe there's something to that word. Not
well, listen, read that synopsis.
Open door romance, strong emphasis on explicit, intimate encounters. 16 pages. So they dive right in. She was supposed to cure the coronavirus. Instead, she fell in love with it.
Yeah. Can you imagine? This is like those books where they're like, hey, I want to fuck that guy. Why? He skins people. I'm sort of into it. It's the same thing. COVID's out there killing people, and she's like, I just want to feel it.
Do you want to hear a quote from the book?
I'm worried that it might be too much. It's only 16 pages long, so if you give me more than a sentence, I feel like you've overdone it.
This is probably 50, 60 pages in because it's the 4th book.
Well, I thought you said there was only 16 pages.
On book 1.
Each book is 16 pages?
I'm assuming so with book 1 is.
This is just diseased fan fiction.
It is.
This is okay. All right.
It must be. I don't know.
No, he'll act like.
I think it has editors and published and everything because it's in the Fable app and they don't have fan fiction on the app.
Oh.
Here's a quote from COVID Claws. Dr. Mistletoe shook her head, jiggling her boobies. No. Yes, wheezed Santa. You mean? Yes, he said. I have the coronavirus.
And it just became an STD in this series.
All of this is credit to a user on Fable. I don't have permission to share her username, but if you are listening, you are amazing, and thank you for sharing all of this.
Oh, this was shared directly with you.
No.
Please check this out.
We follow each other, and she is reading this entire series and giving play-by-plays.
I love that you're going with reading this entire series.
The entire
First of all,
90-page series.
As I giggle boobedly at this, I've got to let you know, I don't think you could say you're reading this series. That's not what you're doing.
Should we do a page-by-page breakdown?
I really am proud that somebody took the time to write this down. Whatever it was that they were doing. The fever dream that is this series. But I just looked at the covers, and honestly, what I'm most impressed with is they found somebody to make those covers for them.
Yeah, well, it's almost like a man and a woman, a typical romance cover, but then they colored him in green.
Oh, that's different for me. Never mind.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. You can't
I thought they just made a white guy, like, because it looks like a white guy, but really dark skinned.
Oh.
But like, you know what I mean? There aren't any features of somebody that would not be a Caucasian individual.
Well, because when you get to book 5, coronavirus versus monkeypox, one man is green, one man is red. It just looks like blackface to you. Like,
Well, this is the thing.
This is problematic.
They don't appear to be drawn as people of color. Like, offensively tan, if that makes sense.
The men on these covers are green like the Hulk.
Oh, okay. Why?
Green like coronavirus, obviously.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know why the monkeypox guy is red, other than it's around Christmas time that these are released.
They want to, hold on. You act like this is an annual thing. These had to be written in an afternoon. Collectively, all of them.
Oh, this was released in 2023.
Yeah, but weren't they all? There's no way somebody's like, when's the next one coming out? And they're waiting like we are for this next book. They're like, it's going to take them a while to write it. Calm down.
In a world where coronavirus and monkeypox risk combining into a supervirus, Dr. Jasmine has put to her sex life hold. Okay, there's some typos in the description even.
They're like, listen, we paid for the art. We could not afford Grammarly. Yeah.
Oh, and then there's a blue man. Oh, no, he's purple. Oh, this whole time I've been telling you red. He was purple.
I didn't get to that part. I saw on the cover, I looked over and saw the cover, and I was like, oh, neat. And then it was like, kissing Corona or whatever. And I'm like, I don't think that whoever wrote this is being very sensitive to all the people that perished.
No, I don't think they were. I don't know how to transition.
Uh-huh.
I don't even know how to go from talking about a COVID clause into Iron Flame.
When does the next Kissing COVID book come out?
I have no idea.
Can you see if there's a projected date?
I don't think there's going to be a 6th one. I think it's a 5-part series.
They tied up the series there?
Yep, 5 books.
You know what other series has 5 books? The one we're reading now.
Thank you for getting us back on track.
It's a segue with one wheel. It's it's not a smooth transition.
I found out where Heaton's at. I looked up on the Empyrean wiki page because I was determined. Now we're like 27 chapters in and we still haven't heard from Heaton. I'm like, there's no way Heaton was invited to dinner, breakfast, lunch, all these activities and just cut out. According to the wiki page, Heaton is a lieutenant. So they must have been a 3rd year.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And at no point, even in their 3rd year, did they ever use their signet, I guess.
Yeah, what's weird is everybody had to be told what their signet was. Last year even. Like, you know what? I made it 2 years and nobody's ever asked. Really interesting. They're like, oh, what is it? I can breathe underwater. Oh, that's why nobody asked.
I don't know. There was no conclusions on that one. I was a little bummed. The fact that Heaton got no justice at all.
I assume Heaton was written so that they could come back in the next books.
They better.
Heaton's coming back. They're going to save Xaden. Xaden's going to get baptized in order to come back to the Empyrean side of things, or the Dorian side.
Baptized?
They're going to baptize him.
To cleanse him of his venin?
Yep. But they got to do it real deep in the water. And they're like, how could we ever hold him underwater that long? And then Heaton comes emerging from a swamp, just dripping wet.
We need to give Heaton the story that they deserved.
Rebecca will do that for us. I've got a feeling.
I don't think she did.
Well, not yet. Heaton isn't dead, though.
No, Heaton's just off being a lieutenant.
Swimming.
I looked at the map. There's no outpost with lakes near them.
No, so here's kind of a thing. Navarre is in an interesting spot. I think Heaton should be glad that they weren't Pormish, whatever that word is that I keep fucking up, because the Barrens are on the other side. The Barrens are actually the one with the most coastal grounds.
Well, maybe Heaton could have gone to Montserrat. It is near the coast.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Protecting our borders on the sea. That is
from dolphins.
From water venin.
Water venin.
Either way, that is their happy ending that they didn't get, since I don't think we're going to hear from them again.
There's 3 more books. We're going to hear all about Heat in their life.
Yeah. Now I'm upset. Are you kidding me?
It took 12 seconds. I haven't even got to poke any fun at anything yet.
I upset myself.
Oh. All right. I want to start this up. The first chapter we read is awesome in this part. The Tairn part of this is my favorite part of all the chapters, period.
While I get over Heaton's story, Chapter 19, there's a little excerpt that dragons do not answer to the whims of men. And it begins with them being out on the flight field. Obviously, Andarna isn't there. And Varrish starts talking about his punishment. And Tairn is so badass in putting him in his place.
Yeah, Tairn's like, I will fucking murder you. No questions, no, just pure assertion. And the guy's like, well, your dragon doesn't answer to me, but you do. And Tairn's like, she doesn't today, motherfucker. Like, I'm going to end you. I'm going to end your dragon. And it was so badass that they showed Tairn not just being assertive to Varrish, but also his dragon was straight up like, oh, dude, we're real close.
Like, both of them, I don't even understand how they're not scared of Tairn. Like, they were eventually, but how far it took for them to show any fear.
Okay, but I think we've established orange dragons are crazies.
Psychos, yes.
Yeah, orange dragons are the crazies, right?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting more of them because we're 2 for 2 of being psychos.
But how scary do you have to be as a dragon to scare of a crazy dragon? Like, you imagine how pissed Tairn was, where initially Solas last time had no reaction.
None, just
Tairn
stood there.
Just being, which maybe is also the correct move in dragon culture. Like, they don't kowtow. They're just like, no, stand my ground. The one that I'd be scared of is Sigale, actually, more so than Tairn.
Was Sigale there?
No.
Oh, you're right. I'm dumb.
Sigale's with Xaden.
Obviously. Oh,
she hangs out with him. But
I think Sigale would have really enjoyed watching this.
Just all of a sudden, horny feelings going through Xaden. He's like, why am I horny right now?
She's like, that's my man. And he'd do it for me.
Again, the only downside to this is Tairn didn't murder Solas.
He has Solas's neck in his mouth the entire time that he was talking. I didn't pick up on that because I replayed it a little bit to be able to write some notes down. And that's when I realized he had his neck in his mouth the entire time, telling him that he has no say over what Tairn does, and you cannot make her do anything.
He has no say over Violet as far as her dragons. That includes Andarna, because that's the point of this whole thing.
Yeah, he was standing up for Andarna.
And more so to the idea, like, reaffirming what Violet is saying, where Violet's like, hey, I'm not in charge here. And then Varrish is like, you are in charge, you're the rider, and I'm in charge of you. By extension, you do what I tell you to do. If I tell you this dragon needs to be here, that dragon needs to be here. And Tairn's like, excuse me, motherfucker? You are of a lower life form here. And also, even if Violet did command it, it's not at her discretion. No different than Varrish doesn't get to determine where Andarna is or where Tairn is ever. But I think, how wild is it that it took him just being one chomp away from murdering Varrish and his dragon, for Varrish to be like, fine. Like, there's some confidence.
He wasn't even just fine. He was actually scared because there was even the ice cold moment of, you are no rider without a dragon, and realizing that he is about to lose his dragon.
To be fair, he dies. If his dragon dies, that's how the bond works.
Yeah. But then while you were saying something, it made me think of Barlow with his orange dragon. That
Fade.
Yes, Varrish's attitude towards dragons, and for him to kind of project that onto Violet with Andarna, that you can have say over what they do and directing them in some way. Both Varrish and Barlow are like that with their orange dragons.
They treat the dragons as a means to an end, as opposed to the goal.
That, or the orange dragons are very weak-minded. And that they are easily controlled by their riders.
That's sort of what we were told, right? In the first book. Was they're
so.
Unpredictable, but part of what can make them unpredictable is they can be easily swayed, I think. And I think, again, powerful people bond weaker dragons when their goal is to have power as opposed to having the relationship with the dragon.
Oh, that's so sad.
But don't you kind of see... You see what I'm saying there? Maybe I'm not correct on that, but that's my interpretation of it.
No, I think that's fair. But overall, Tairn is a badass. This is what puts him on a hear me out cake because...
Dude, there's so many things. I've been Tairn on a hear me out cake. This reminds me of the thing you sent me where they're playing Dungeons and Dragons and the guy's like, haha, roll to seduce the dragon. I succeeded. And then they told me I was taking damage. It was a male dragon.
I immediately thought Tairn.
Yeah, I'm like,
But he also makes Varrish apologize on his knees to Violet.
Oh, Tairn is so pissed in this. Like, it isn't just the idea of he wants this result. He wants to embarrass Varrish. He wants Varrish to just understand how weak he is by comparison.
Him on his knees with his hands together, praying and begging for forgiveness from her. And Violet's just like, it's fine, Tairn, it's fine. And it is kind of what I want from Xaden in her, but we do get it with Tairn, and oh my God.
Do you have a moment where you're disappointed in Violet here, though?
No.
Oh, man, I did.
No.
I was like, it's fine, Tairn, stop. I'd be like, actually, Varrish, this is what I was trying to warn you about. You're going to fuck around and find out. I think the Violet that's like, it's fine, is very first 10 chapters of Fourth Wing Violet. The Violet that would have been like, yeah, motherfucker, is current Violet. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I guess I wasn't disappointed in her. It felt like it made sense for her character to be like, we're not here to cause wars. But at the same time, I was very heavily focused on being attracted to Tairn in this.
Right. I get it. Tairn's the icing on the dragon cake. I am 100% on board with this. I just had a moment where I'm just like, apologist Violet is not who I wanted in that moment. I wanted a Violet that was like, exactly. The knees is where you belong when you're around me, motherfucker. Like, that's what I wanted to see. Her embracing the power she wields as both a rider and as Tairn's partner.
If I was her, my ego would be through the roof. I'd be like, you know what? You're right. I may be a second year, but I am queen. No one is above me.
Oh, yeah. No, I completely agree.
And then Rhiannon, she shows up, like, while all of this is happening, or maybe right after it happens, just casually comes up. I would be too scared to show up to any of that. Rhiannon comes up and is asking questions of what's going on. And then Rhiannon is hurt that Violet never told her about the punishment of the burnout and all of that.
Yeah, well, Rhiannon again is justifiably upset because Violet is like, I can't talk to her, but I'll give her a little bit, but I won't give her anything, really. But maybe a touch here and there. And every time Rhiannon talks to her, is like, hey, don't tell me anything if you're going to lie, but if you don't have to lie to me about it, just tell me about it. And this isn't something Violet needed to lie.
It wasn't something she needed to lie about, but Rhiannon kind of upset me during these chapters because she's like, just tell me you can't say anything rather than lying to me. And then Violet hits a point where she's just like, I can't say anything. Then Rhiannon is bitter that Violet can't say anything. She's like, oh, is this another thing we're not going to talk about? Like, yes, it is, Rhiannon. You were told.
But why? Why is this something that you're not going to talk?
Well, maybe not this one, the burnout.
But there are situations. Again, Violet could say some things. Violet is choosing poorly which information to share and which information not to. Okay, I'm going to come off a little whiny here, but I'm more of a Rhiannon stan in these chapters. I like that Violet is not lying to her.
Yeah, at some point she switches and she just, I think even with this one, she's like, I just can't tell you.
But this is kind of like the whole, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all approach taken so far, right? You know, when kids are arguing, you're like, hey, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. And then they just ignore each other almost in an obstinate way. That's what this reminds me of, where Violet's like, oh, you know, I can't lie to her, so I can't talk to her, blah, blah, blah. No, you can still tell her things. You still speak to other people that you're not supposed to tell more information to. And at this point, she trusts Justinia more than she trusts Rhiannon.
I still stand by that this is all new territory for Violet, and she is just doing the best she can. And when she's in the moment, she's trying to make a snap decision on what do I say? And especially you're so focused on what not to say, you don't think of what can I say, and what she does say. I don't know. I don't have much judgment towards it. I know that Rhiannon finally did get what she wanted, and then it wasn't good enough.
No, that's the thing. Rhiannon didn't get what she wanted. Rhiannon's like, all you have to do is just say that you can't tell me certain things and not lie to me. And then Violet turned it into, then you get to know nothing. It is not what Rhiannon asked for. And I know I'm not suggesting that Violet isn't doing the best she can do, but I think it's very acceptable that that isn't good enough for Rhiannon.
Yeah, that's fine, but I'm still on Violet's side with the things that she's not sharing with Rhiannon. Because even when Violet finally breaks about Liam and their whole situation, she's opening up. And Rhiannon now is all empathetic. She's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know all of this. Well, Rhiannon, she didn't want to talk about it. You pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed until she snapped.
Yeah, but it was really selfish of Violet. Rhiannon made a valid point. Liam was also her friend. These people were also close to her. Violet knows everything and shared absolutely zero things with her about it. That would be really shitty. I'm not suggesting that it wouldn't be hard for Violet. I respect that Violet was in a tough position, but I think both people have valid complaints. I think both sides of their arguments are valid.
I wonder if we're supposed to be using Violet and Rhiannon's relationship as a way to understand Xaden, because I want to know things about Xaden for my own selfish needs, and I'm probably acting like Rhiannon in that.
I don't think it's wrong to act like Rhiannon in this. Rhiannon saying, you need to talk about something with me. Because the other thing is, Rhiannon is trying to preserve a relationship. And without Rhiannon's efforts, Violet doesn't have that relationship. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And later on, Rhiannon is trusting Violet with everything. Like when Rhiannon wanted to go visit her family and all of these things, those are still secrets. Not to the extent of Violet's rebellion secrets and all this kind of stuff.
It ended up being Rhiannon's biggest secret to share later.
It was a big deal for them to sneak out and go do this, and she trusted Violet. And so I can understand Violet not sharing everything, but Violet just having a real conversation, taking 5 minutes out of her day. Like, okay, here are the things I can say. Here are the things I'm not going to tell you about. Little things like when Liam passed, just talking with her about like, I held him as he passed.
But if she's not ready to talk about it nor wants to, she shouldn't have to.
Yes and no. Rhiannon doesn't owe Violet more than Violet owes her. And therefore, I think Violet's expectation to keep receiving the preferential treatment and the friendship that she gets out of Rhiannon, because Rhiannon is also her squad leader and provides Violet with a lot of latitude. If Violet doesn't want to receive those preferential treatments, then Violet can just eliminate that friendship, and that's fine. But I think the expectation for Violet to do things sometimes she doesn't necessarily want to do isn't wrong either. If Violet only gets to be a friend when it's convenient for Violet to be a friend, that makes Violet a shitty friend.
I think you can only be a shitty friend in Bisgaiath.
No, because Rhiannon is a good friend. Other people managed to be good friends. Liam was a good friend, even though he had things he couldn't tell Violet about. He was supportive and outgoing still for her needs. Violet is not in other ways supporting anybody. Violet is only considering her own thoughts and feelings when dealing with Rhiannon and these people.
Yeah.
I'm on Violet's side here too. I want to make that clear. I'm playing a little devil's advocate.
Yeah, I think it was more, I was really upset that Rhiannon pushed Violet to the point that she shared everything about Liam when she probably wasn't ready, because it was more of a snapping point, a breaking point, than it was, hey, I realize I need someone and you're the person that I choose.
Violet wasn't going to reach that. And I think the other thing is taking their relationship as a given that they will always be there should be something Violet should be more cognizant of in this. And I think Rhiannon has a more clear image of, I value this person, but this person I might die tomorrow. This person might die tomorrow. What can I do to make today valuable? While I'm agreeing with you that she shouldn't have pressed, it makes total sense that she did. And I think everybody's actions in this, nobody's wrong for the way they're handling it. I think.
Do they ever kind of resolve this? Is it after everything kind of comes out of like, now you know all the secrets, now we're cool?
Rhiannon ends up accepting it almost immediately when it happens, if I remember correctly. Or if it is a bugaboo, she handles it at least as well as Dane does. And to be fair, I think the way that Dane handled it is, I know we still hate Dane, don't get me wrong, but he does begin his redemption arc in this.
He does a little bit, more than I give him credit for.
Right. And I would say, ultimately, no character struggles with these things as much as Violet does. And I think that's why I have a hard time justifying Violet's behavior with all of this, in the sense that no other character.
Oh, I even think this was the scene where Violet talks about Liam.
Mm-hmm. This is it.
Rhiannon is hurt. Violet never told her about the punishment. Rhiannon doesn't see the point of the gauntlet, and they get into that whole thing. And Violet thinks it's best for training for Venin, but she won't tell her that it's for training. She's like, no, there's a purpose in all of this, because Rhiannon is still upset with some of the cultural aspects of Bisgaiath, of people dying and not being able to send letters, and just some of the rules that they have to follow and obstacles and challenges they have to go through. And Violet is defending it like, no, this is necessary. On our reread, I still think that I might be a little more Rhiannon on this, especially after we get an idea of the Flyers, because do you know who's been dealing with the Venin the most?
The fucking Flyers.
The Flyers.
Yeah.
And if they have that opinion of maybe we don't need to be a freaking death college, and I didn't even realize their college is the one that got destroyed. Yes. At the end of these chapters. I think it was like chapter 25. Yeah, their academy is destroyed, but for them to have the opinion similar to Rhiannon, and they're the ones dealing with the Venin?
Again, this is why I'm pointing out Violet is not coping well with what she has going on. She does have a lot going on, but I would weirdly relate the way that Violet copes with things is actually probably similar to me, right? Where you're looking for the things that you could be upset about to be justified because you have enough to already be upset about. So you kind of justify other things so that it isn't one more thing for you to be angry over.
That's a good point, because if you start questioning everything and how Bezgaia does things, as she already is in different ways, if she does it on too many things, then you're going to be really bitter of everyone that you've lost.
And it becomes overwhelming. It would be really easy to be overwhelmed with really a hatred for everything going on. So I do think there's some preservation aspect to Violet justifying it. I would say Violet didn't raise one point that made any sense to me. Oh, we should get used to people dying, so when they die out there, it's not as big of a deal. It didn't work, Violet. You're fucking falling apart. What are you saying? Your exposure therapy to death isn't something that helps. Like, that isn't... I don't believe a mortician, right? Or coroner, these people that are consistently exposed to dead people, if their spouse dies or their best friend dies, I don't believe they struggle with that less than regular people do. I think they could handle anonymous death better than the majority of people through exposure, but it doesn't eliminate the loss of things that personally affect you. It just distances you more easily from things that aren't personally close to you.
Ooh, this actually goes into a theory that was sent in to us.
Wonderful.
As we were just talking of Bezgaia making it very challenging, you either make it a rider that is following all these rules and whatnot and accepting of all of this, or you die type of thing. And a listener reached out to us on Fable and messaged a theory that they had, and their username is It Is Just Amy. I think that's how you pronounce it. But I love their theory, and I think that it kind of falls into what we're just talking about now of what if all Venin were once dragon riders or griffin flyers? So by making Bezgaia this death camp, you do not risk the chance of them becoming Venin, because they never talk about the regular people, infantry, healers, scribes, or anyone outside of the college having any sort of power or lesser magic. So having that desire to want power and magic like those writers makes sense.
May I offer something to this?
Yeah.
I really like that theory. I have a couple questions as to how this would work within that theory. The first Venin was a scribe, and then we have people entering the quadrant that are Venin upon entry.
Oh, yeah, because we've already established that with Barlow and this assassin.
Yes, and this assassin hasn't yet, he hasn't even gone through threshing, so he doesn't have a dragon.
Oh, so he could have been a civilian that was already a Venin?
That's my take on this. Because until threshing happens, they don't get a dragon. And he's a first year, so...
So he wasn't a healer, a scribe, or infantry by that point if he was a first year signing up.
Correct. And he's 118.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
So I'm not suggesting this theory doesn't work. I think this theory can coexist with things that aren't concrete. Does that make sense?
Well, when we get into the later chapters in all that is risked of cultures outside of Navarre, or even just the unification is what I think it is, where we all kind of follow one big culture and this is what we do, and we strip everybody of all their culture, of if you're outside of it, you were left out of it as a civilian and you didn't get the chance to come in, it would make sense that you would turn Venin and try to gain some form of protection to protect yourself that you don't have. That was a really stupid way of saying it, but we got there.
You did great.
Another part of their theory, this is just, I think like a spin-off is the way I would describe it, is what if the dragon riders and griffin flyers who die by Venin or wyvern are then both revived by Venin. And in order for them to remain alive, they have to become Venin and become part of their army.
I wondered about that as well, actually.
Yeah,
I think it's a great theory because the Venin already animate the wyvern. Therefore, reanimating a corpse, it seems like it would be easier.
Well, and I think they say something about love later on. I'll feel so stupid if they never do, that there was something about them loving the wyvern. And if you were previously a dragon rider or a flyer and you just really miss your griffin or dragon, so then you create this wyvern in memory of them and you really miss and love them, that would be so sad. Like,
to me, it's a little bit like stuffed animals that people would call like, hey, oh, my husband died 6 years ago, but I got this guy. And it's just like a, 3/5 scale person.
Creepy.
Like, this is Dave.
Have you seen those real life baby doll things?
I refuse.
You should stay that way.
If I've learned anything, I don't know, man. There's all kinds of creepy shit out there. The uncanny valley is a chasm for me. Like, there's a lot of things that I find weirdly uncanny.
But yeah, if they are previous dragon riders or flyers, there's no way that they aren't making these wyvern out of memory of their previous dragon or griffin.
It depends, because we also know of Venin that have dragons. I would like to point that out.
Wait, what? No, we don't.
We know of one definitively at the end of this book that is a Venin that has a dragon.
Oh my God, I feel so stupid. Yeah, you're right. Xaden.
So I was thinking Jack Barlow still has Vade.
That's two of them then. Both of them are dragon riders that turn Venin.
Right. So this kind of messes with my theory of Naolan and Tairn, where I was like, oh, he decided to draw from the ground. That broke his bond with Tairn, blah, blah, blah. The only reason that could still hold true is Tairn values his bond with him so much, but he saw it as like cheating on him to get power from the source.
Well, if they are dead or dying or something like that, I would assume their bond with their dragons and griffins is broken at that point. And if there was some form of revival.
Orla was covered by a mountain. He didn't just like survive that. They had to bring his ass back. There's no way his body he was fine.
But when they talked about Bade later, and wait, no, he has to be.
Bade pretended. So
Bade is aware.
Ran into him earlier, yeah. And Tairn's like, Bade kept it a secret, even from the Empyrean. We'll get to that part.
Now I'm even more confused.
Well, this is...
Because we do have two examples of two riders who have dragons and are Venin. Could they just have like their dragon and then like make wyvern?
Yes. Remember, when you kill the Venin, all of the wyvern they created die off. So you have Venin that have created several wyvern. But what gets me more is it seems the Venin that we can observe and we know as a dragon rider the most is Jack Barlow. Jack Barlow has never had any love for Bade. Jack Barlow was self-interested. And from the way Varrish acts, I don't believe Varrish has any love for his dragon. I believe Varrish sees his dragon as a tool to have the power he has.
Yeah.
In the same way that Jack needed a dragon for power, which is why he coveted Tairn so much.
It would make a lot of sense that the civilians would become Venin, even if it is to protect themselves from other Venin and coming through. Like, this is just for me to protect myself and to have this power that clearly we weren't invited to have.
I would argue where this is going to become more clear to me will be either when it is said explicitly, it may not hit me initially. And the other thing is when I learn about provinces of the Baron.
Oh, why would that help?
Because as it sets right now, we have more or less 3 countries in this continent, right?
You know more than me. I hear the names and I just ignore them.
So we have Navarre, Hormeal, and the Barons.
Okay.
That makes up our continent. So to the east is the Barons. Hormeal exists as a strip of land between the Barons and Navarre.
And why would that help you with understanding what's going on with them?
Because the only thing we're informed of with the Barons is that that's where the Venin come from. We don't know if every citizen of the Baron was a Venin. They may still have people. Not every citizen of Navarre is infantry, scribe, healer, or rider.
Oh,
currently,
okay,
right? We have
yeah.
people that do other jobs.
Yeah.
The people of Hormeal, whatever they're called, I keep fucking that up. There are people that have jobs that are not Griffin Flyer, right?
My job is Griffin Flyer.
My job is Beach.
My job is writer.
I love that Heaton. He could just be chilling out there, just full Ken mode.
My
My job
job
is
is
water.
my job is beach.
But
That is the life that we're going to let Heaton have. That's their story. They're
Yeah.
just on a beach.
yeah, with some, handsome or sexy griffin flyer
Oh,
side piece.
oh.
Yeah.
I assume that Heaton is still drinking the Kool-Aid of Bezgaiath.
That doesn't mean that they have to hate the griffin flyers.
That's true.
I mean, they could do battle with griffin flyers when they're attacking and, enjoy a nice meal, maybe some sex.
On the beach. Oh, no, never mind. We're not going there.
Sand in places.
Ew.
Yeah.
No.
They can do it in the water. Heaton commands the tide.
No, Heaton can just breathe underwater.
Oh, fuck, you're right.
That's all it is.
Okay, but imagine you're out there swimming. You're getting a little tired. Heaton comes up, and it's oral time, baby. Don't need to come up for air.
Heaton is living their best life. That is all I need to know. Now, at this point, Heaton better not come back in the series because I'm probably not going to like whatever Rebecca writes, as I really like that they're on a
You've
beach.
decided?
We have decided Heaton's on a beach over by Montserrat.
But again, back to the Barrens.
Yes.
There's no discussion as to different provinces of the Barrens.
No, it's just one.
And they've drawn
Thing.
all of the life from that land, blah, blah, blah.
This is probably another story where they would have left with nothing and the only way to survive was to take from the land and then try to take over here. And they're like, this is all ours.
We don't know where the Venin, we know when they became a thing, right? According to Navarre, Scribe became the first Venin. But that would also mean that the Venin originated in Navarre. It's really odd. I don't understand what's happening.
We just, yeah.
I
think
need
we're
a deeper understanding of this book.
You want to read it again?
No, not right off the hop. Take me to the next thing. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. Chapter 19 ends with Violet opening up about Liam, and that was heartbreaking. And I think that's where I now feel a little bitter about Rhiannon pushing her because I found that really unfair of Violet. Then Violet is searched by Varrish in front of Rhi, and she's just like, what is going on? I don't remember everything. I didn't take that good of notes, but Rhiannon is clever. She is aware that Violet saw something.
Yeah, well, they're making that pretty fucking obvious by searching her bags. My question would have been, while Rhi is there and Varrish is there, and whoever the guy is who inspects her bag after she says, see, it's empty, and shakes it, and then the guy's like searching through, making sure there aren't any hidden pockets. What are you guys hoping to find? That is my question. They know, Violet knows, but they keep acting like there's nothing going on. What are they worried about? I would bring that up in front of other people. What are you searching me for? What could I possibly be taking to him?
I saw it as a form of power and control of we have this control over you. I don't think they're specifically hoping to catch her with anything, like hoping to see her or catch her with a specific item of any kind. I just saw it as putting her in her place.
They know the wards are weakening and they know what supplies the wards. They know what's being smuggled. They would have to assume Violet is a part of a smuggling ring, right?
Yeah.
They're kind of like cops that know what's going on, but they don't actually have the proof yet. So before they're going to get you, they're kind of gathering evidence, I think is how I take it.
Yeah, I saw it as more performative as a way to keep her in her place.
Even so, ask, what is it that you're hoping to find while you have somebody there? At the bare minimum, all it does is plant thoughts in somebody else's head as to what the fuck are they doing?
I don't think Violet is that type where she is going to start this whole conspiracy to get people thinking. She is more like a detective. She's trying to solve her own mysteries.
It seems short-sighted.
I think you expect too much of Violet.
I think Violet later does so much that I'm like, you could have done little breadcrumbs in order to help bolster what you're going to do, because they already know what they're going to have to do.
It seems like you're asking her to be like Markham.
No. I'm saying you already know you can't trust this place. You have loved ones that are deep in this place and friends that are deep in this place. Providing them with nuggets so they start asking their own questions just kind of in the back of their head is helpful to both them and you.
That is Professor Devera's place of what she seems to be doing.
Yeah.
But at this point, I think Violet is still trying to follow Xaden's lead And when Violet starts taking her own lead, that's when things get better and start the movement. But at this point, she's still following Xaden's lead of stay quiet, don't talk to anyone. This is all secret, secret, secret. And then Violet is like, well, with the power of friendship, we can win this war. And she starts opening up about it. But I remember this scene a little better now. Rhiannon brings up this search, and why are they searching you?
Correct.
And she gives an answer of, well, I'm seeing Xaden, and they don't trust Xaden.
Right. But this is where, again, if you address Varrish on it, you know what I mean? Try to get Varrish on the back foot a little bit. Because I can understand where she's not wanting to...
Try to get Varrish on the back foot? Did you see how far Tairn had to take it to get him to get even just a smidge of that? And then obviously Tairn took it so far that not only did he get Varrish on the back foot, he also got Varrish on his knees begging for forgiveness.
And use that momentum. That's what I'm getting at. Use a little bit of momentum, right? It's like chess. If you're going to play an entire game defensively, you will lose. You can play defense to a certain point, but you have to take little snippets of aggression.
I think you're applying too much maturity onto Violet, and we're only in book 1 of 5.
From book 2, 5.
That is what I meant. And she has improved greatly from one year to the next, but we still need continued growth for the next several years.
You're absolutely right. Listen, and I think you're thinking I'm really upset with Violet.
Now I'm getting defensive of Violet.
No, it's okay. Maybe I'm coming off a little negative toward Violet. I apologize.
No, it's good because I'm just going to get defensive of everybody.
That's okay.
Well, chapter 20 begins with an excerpt about Xaden's dad and how after his dad died, Xaden forgot what it was like to be loved until Violet, and he's going to do anything it takes to get that back. And that was so sad because he's just like this little shell of a person. All of a sudden, he's cracking a little bit when she's like, I love you. And now he's clinging on to this for the rest of these chapters. He's like, you love me. She's like, don't start fights with me. He's like, you love me. I know it's in there. And he's like, I am not giving up on this.
I'm willing to do nearly anything to get there. And also Garrick, again, in the background, just like, who am I? Like, what do you mean you're not loved? You're many adoring people.
Xaden has...
Your dad did not have romantic love for you.
I think Xaden has some mommy issues.
Yes. I agree.
And it was awoken again when Violet said she loved him. And he's
her nipples. Home.
But I think it was this, I am broken and I want you to help. I want to be a part of this with you. And now he's very clingy to her. He even says later that every single night he just lays there thinking about that moment when she said she loved him. And it was so sad.
We got very different things from this, but you're probably more correct than I am. I honestly looked at that as, this isn't important. This isn't important.
Well, I'm sure he was touching himself also in this memory, but...
It's a weird thing that Jack could do.
Well, he was just thinking about her, and it definitely implied he's like, I literally just fall asleep thinking about you all the time, but then it's also thinking about how much she loves him.
Yeah, here's the thing. I doubt he's jacking it to that.
Well, not to that specific one.
Okay, good. I was going to say, Adria, I don't know how to tell you this. While being loved is very great, it's not often arousing.
That's not what I meant.
Okay.
I was just saying that his mommy issues are definitely being triggered.
And then you went to masturbate.
And then he just really misses her. He's like, I think about you every night. And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure we know what you're thinking about, Xaden.
Oh, man. You're probably more right than I am. I assumed it was really more wholesome than that. Like, when we're apart, I'm not constantly thinking of you nude. It's a nice thought. To be
Wait, what? You're not?
Sometimes I'm just thinking about, like, oh, man, you're warm. Like, I like cuddling you at night. Like, I think those are the moments that he's thinking of at night where he's just, like, feeling somebody lay on your chest or, like, feeling their heart close to you.
Yeah, that's actually probably what it was.
Your thing's great. I would run with your thing.
The more he kept sharing, the more intimate they were getting in the shower. So it seemed a little...
No, you know what? I think you're actually right. I kind of forgot where this took place.
Yeah, the whole conversation, I think, was in the shower.
No, you're probably right.
Wait, we're only on chapter 20. So he says that about his dad, and it was just so sad and cute. I really thought you were going to make fun of him some more for this.
No, I get it. I see where he's at.
He's just drama.
Yeah.
They are practicing the running landing. Tairn is upset. He's like, you're not going to be doing that. They're going to have to change the rules for you because you do what you want. And she's like, no, Tairn, I have to follow the rules. He's like, no, you don't. Then Violet's turn to visit Xaden, and she is holding contraband while going and visiting him, like in the bags, taking it in to the building.
Oh, yeah. Well, and my other favorite part of this was Tairn is like just vibrating with anticipation to go see his lady, right?
Yes.
Just shaking.
He's like the tiny little dogs where they're just like trembling.
Yes, yes,
little buggy eye just waiting to go. He's like, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yep. And she's like, just go. And he's like, I'm waiting until you go inside. She's like, it might be a while. He's like, fucking run. Go faster.
Get inside. I need to go see my woman.
She proceeds to take the longest amount of time to do this. It's like in movies where there's a countdown and everybody's walking places where I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
The bags are really heavy, so it takes a little while to carry them in. But at the same time, to say, we can't tell you things because Dane might find out. But yet Dane, knowing that she's taking in really heavy bags that take a while to carry into Xaden.
You can feel the power emanating from...
Yeah, you can feel the hum. You can feel something's going on. She is a part of this, and there is no reason to keep that from her when she's the one literally carrying the bags in.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Nope. You won't catch an argument out of me.
I thought that they stayed on Tairn, and then others went and took it off of Tairn, so it was as blocked from Violet as much as possible, other than her sitting on Tairn during the flight.
Her knowing it alone is all you need. She knows what's going on. They're just not giving her any real details.
True.
And I can understand them being like, but if we give Violet details, they'll know details. Yeah, but if they've got the broad strokes, there's only so many ways you're going to want to go with this. I don't know. I don't feel like it is still necessary.
I think at the end of this, Xaden is on the same page also, where he starts opening up a little bit more. He's like, this is kind of pointless. We can discuss this. But yeah, she takes forever to go inside. She's carrying all the contraband. Tairn is like, get your ass inside. I need to go see Sigale. Oh my God. I remember this scene now. This was so funny. I wish that we could have listened to this scene together. This is when she's carrying them in. She sees Xaden from across wherever the hell they're at, and he starts walking, just beelining towards her, and mentally vibes to her, do you want to kiss me and get permission? And she's just like, what? What's going on? He's like, do you want to kiss me? And she's like, yeah, sure. He's like, it's just for show. And she's like, yeah, I guess if it's only for show.
Two things. Number one, you were so into the scene, you didn't realize I was sitting next to you while we listened to this. Which is great. Second of all, we did listen to this together. Point number two, she does see him and he's like, you have moments to decide if you're going to kiss me or not. If you decide you're not going to kiss me, you don't get to have private conversations with me. This is kind of the idea behind this. He kind of lays it out in order to encourage her.
They can always
Because he starts it off like, do you want to have private conversations or not? She's like, yeah. He's like, then you need to kiss me. And she's like, oh, okay. And he's like, tell me you want me to kiss you. Tell me to kiss you, because that's the only way I'm ever going to do it, is if you say to do it. Specifically, he needs to be ordered to kiss, not just receive consent, which totally fine. He's like, even if it's just for show. Not that it would only be just for show.
Oh, you remember this so much better. To me, I was just...
I even remember you being there. This is wild. Look at me go.
I was very into the book. I'm just like sitting, staring in my own little head. Everything is checked out. I'm just picturing Xaden coming up. He's like, it's all for show. And she's like, yeah, it's all for show. It's not. It's all business.
Yep. And then they start tongue punching each other's tongues. And it turns not business real fast. And she's like, it's for pleasure. Why do I deny myself this pleasure? And she does this every few minutes. She's like, why do I deny myself this pleasure? And it's like, well, it's like when you eat cake. Cake's great. But every time you have it, you're like, why don't I eat this every meal?
I don't think we can compare this to cake, because the way they start eating this cake in front of everyone is a little much. Like, I'm picturing her leg is even coming up and they're like thrusting a little bit in front of everyone.
My husband.
Yeah, like it was an intimate, they're about to bang in front of everybody type of kiss.
You watch people die. Why not watch people fuck? You know, what is privacy, really? You're here to train people. You know what actually happens on battlefields? Sometimes people fuck.
my biggest question from the scene that I have for you is, did Xaden get a bit of a chub?
Yeah, I knew that was going to be your question. And the answer is yeah, 100% he did.
And he just like turns around, leather's just a little tighter.
Yeah, I think the leather is tight enough everybody can see it, but here's the thing. Xaden is so muled up, right? We know he's rocking a horse cock.
Exactly.
You know this. It's always there. You just see it running down to his knee in his pants. He's just third leg. He may even have another pant leg that they just sewed down at the knee for his schlong to sheath in. So it's just standing a little bit at attention as he walks. It's clearing the way. It's like a needle just beep, 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 to my room. And it turns this way and then he follows it. That would be amazing.
Violet has sonar and he has dicknar.
Dicknar. He's got gnar dick, bruh. Dick gnarly. I don't know why I'm really pushing this. That isn't that funny. But
well, I think I'm funny.
No. Dicknar was funny. Gnar dick is not funny. They go. They're headed to the shower.
No, that doesn't happen.
Oh.
You're skipping so many things. You're even skipping chapters with that. They don't go to the shower yet. Mira obviously gets the point. We learned that she had...
We didn't even discuss Mira showing up.
We didn't because they were still making out. Violet didn't know Mira was there until after they were done making out. She's obviously horned up. He's got a chub, as we've now agreed. They both turn and look at Mira. She's disgusted. All right, probably not, but given the scene that we just...
Probably a little disgusted.
It would make sense.
If you ever watched one of your siblings make out with somebody, it's gross.
So that happens. And Violet and Mira, they have some sister time. They're talking and hanging out, which I think is really lovely. That Mira also had leave, I guess, so they could hang out. And we learn about the Ward Stone, where Violet is trying to secretly ask questions, not so secretly, but at the same time, she needs these answers. Two big things that we learned from this, or at least what I got from it. The Ward Stone is like a dome, and as slow as I am, I realized all the outposts are the same distance from Vizgaiath.
Right. This actually did not occur to me either.
Because they're all on the edge of the ward, they're all the same distance, the same flight time to get to Samara, to get to Montserrat, to get to Athbean. All of them are the same distance because it's like a dome. And the other thing that we learned is the alloy that is used in the daggers and to extend the wards is a blend of metals and dragon eggshells.
Which, if you recall, when we went over alloy last time, that's basically what we'd come up with other than the dragon eggshells.
Yeah.
Alloys are a blend of metal.
And it sounds like they were made up metals, like fantasy metals. I don't think they were real.
Sense. I would if I were them.
Violet also adds that she thinks it's a wyvern destroying the Paromish towns. It's Paromish is what we keep trying to say.
Paromish.
The Paromish towns. And Mira thinks she's just straight crazy. Like, you're insane. And Violet's like, well, I am a little tired. And she's like, thank God you're just tired. Because this is insane. But then Mira, at the same time, we learn that the outposts are killing civilians. And that's a level of crazy that Violet just needs to accept.
Okay. Killing civilians from another country.
From coming in, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Why don't they let people come in?
They close their borders. They are a closed border country. It's the United States and Mexico right now, where they're like, hey, don't come over here. It's illegal unless you get the proper documentation. Same thing with them.
Wow, I guess that answers future questions that I had later, because they're only given 1 year to move for protection. And if you don't move within that year, you don't get to come over. I'm like, but why not?
Yeah, it's the open enrollment's closed after that.
After that whole scene, they had a nice sister time. Mira's like, my sister's freaking crazy. I guess she's safe to drive home or ride home on a dragon.
How rare are these Venin attacks? But she has been a lieutenant for at least 2 years now at this point. Never seen a wyvern.
I don't think the Venin are attacking the outposts. I think it's the Griffin Flyers that are attacking the outposts for resources by this point. But the Venin are attacking the Flyers. It's like this domino effect.
Okay.
Then Violet goes and sees Xaden. He finds out about her ward research. She apologizes for keeping it a secret. I don't think she needed to apologize, but if they're going to work through their problems, they do need to start apologizing for some of their bullshit that's going on.
I think they both need to apologize a lot.
Yes,
Yeah.
Xaden says it makes sense that she would do that because she's trying to have her own secrets to keep from Xaden as a way to get back at him. But I think Xaden just said he won't keep secrets that will affect how she makes decisions, and he asked for the same.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's still keeping secrets that affect her
it's a big one.
decisions.
There's a big one he's still keeping.
She hasn't found out about the mom secret yet. It's coming up soon.
She hasn't found out about him being intrinsic yet. That's kind of a big secret.
Do either of those things affect how she makes decisions, though?
Him being intrinsic should be something that she should be aware of before making too many decisions.
Yeah, probably the decision to say those 3 little words that he wants to hear.
Well, outside of that, being able to trust him that he is aware of other people's intentions with 100% accuracy would be a valuable thing to know.
But does it affect her decisions? I'm trying to give him some points that, yeah, Xaden, you're right. That doesn't affect her decisions.
It doesn't affect her decisions, but it should.
Yeah.
For who she should trust and blah, blah, blah. I think that would be really helpful. No? Okay.
I'm still trying to work through whatever Xaden's trying to say to her. I don't know. I think he's very particular of his words. I want to forgive him already. Violet still has it, and I think she's probably right with this. That once she says it, she's going to mean it. The end of chapter 20 is them cuddling, falling asleep together, talking about her being able to block Xaden out, how they never really will be able to block each other out, and that's how she was able to use her sonar.
Well, and to be fair, when she first sees him, right, when he's walking out to her at the beginning of this, he immediately rips through her wall.
Like it's nothing.
Yeah, and then it's like, so what's the point in putting it up for him? Like, really, you're not doing much.
I think the whole point was practicing, because if you can even get a small amount of blocking out Xaden, it's enough to block out other people.
Okay. All right.
I even think they say that. And as they're cuddling and falling asleep, Xaden whispers, "You love me." And she says, "Stop reminding me. We're not going to have a fight tonight." And he then says to himself, and kind of to her, I think he says this to himself, but we know, Xaden, you're really trying to fish here. Maybe you're not the one who needs reminding.
Yeah, I think that's, again, fair. The only criticism I have, and I'm going to come off real Violet hatey in these. I'm not hating on Violet. Violet looks at everything through her lens, in her, how it affects her. Violet is a selfish character at this point.
Yeah, and when we were talking about like Violet and Rhiannon, and Violet kind of having this, I don't know, Violet, you're doing to Rhiannon what Xaden's doing to you,
right?
Type of thing.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not suggesting Violet's a bad character. From this, it seemed like a parallel where it was like, you know what I mean? Where she was like, well, I don't like the way you did this. And he's like, I don't have to do everything the way you like it. I can do things the way I like it too. Like, this is for me, not for you.
I saw it as more mommy issues that Xaden has. He's like,
and that's totally fair.
He's just like, you love me. She's like, yes, I know. Stop. Don't bring it up. He's like, but you love me.
Yeah, and she's like, please quit. And he's like, it wasn't for you. It's for me. Do.
Like a bit of golden retriever vibes.
Well, yeah, and just, I think in general, sometimes as a dude, we're not expected to want that feeling as much.
And I think that is a role that Xaden has been putting on, this whole face of, I don't have emotions. And then he's like...
But he has his vulnerability with Violet.
Yeah. And it's him just being like, I kind of want that back. I really miss... And now you're taking it from me. And she's like, not right now, Xaden. Just cuddle. You were to lay here. You were to cuddle. You were to pet my hair and make me feel loved. But I'm not going to give you any love right now. And he's like...
Right.
Speaking of men with mommy issues who abandon them at a young age, and they have to join a team of fighters to learn how to survive. Witcher 4 is coming out, and I am so excited.
Why do you think his mom abandoned him?
What do you mean? Who? Xaden or Geralt?
Maybe a bit of both.
I don't know why on either of them. Oh, well, Geralt's mom abandoned him because she was incredibly poor and she sold him.
You think maybe Xaden's mom was incredibly poor and she sold her body?
Oh my God, no, that's so sad.
Maybe they weren't abandoned.
No, they were definitely both abandoned, and they both have issues with falling in love because of it.
No, see, here's the thing. Geralt's taste in women,
Chef's
kiss. Yeah, I like that we were both there. Yennefer, itchy, and the one who taught Yennefer, that lady. At least in the show, there's something about that lady, the old woman. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, the queen witch of training in there. Yeah. I also have realized that I compare all female main characters to Ciri because of Witcher 3, the video game.
That's true. And I find that weird in certain situations, like Despicable Me.
What? No.
You know, where I'm like, listen, I know Scarlet isn't Ciri. Like the way I made her a main character. You thought I was going to go for one of the kids, didn't you?
I didn't know where you were going with bringing up that.
Nobody ever does. It's like Inside Out. Joy and Ciri.
No.
Same.
Well, I was going to talk about how I find Ciri's character to be so badass. She is by far my favorite female character in this, I don't know how to describe it.
In this vein.
Yeah, and then when I saw the trailer for Witcher 4 and Ciri in this fight, and it makes me think of Violet, rather than a TV show, it would be incredible instead if Fourth Wing and Iron Flame were actually a video game like this, and that you could actually experience the story. Because the reason that I love Witcher 3 so much is because it is essentially a book and a storyline and open world, and you can experience the world.
Similar to this, it started as a book.
Yeah, Witcher?
Yeah, I think so. It may have started as a video game and then books were written. No, yeah?
I have no idea.
I don't either. If anybody from CD Projekt Red wants to weigh in.
But I think it would be so cool instead to have this series done as a video game, but not like a cheesy one, like this level.
Not like PlayStation 2 Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Where you're just walking around Hogwarts.
Yeah, where the name is what sells you on the video game. Like it's actually intended to tell you the story in an immersive way. And that you can play as Violet and use her skills. Can you
imagine how frustrating the first several hours of that game would be? You're like, I'm attacking this guy. Why do I keep dying? Well, because you have a 1 in 200 chance of hitting your target.
No.
I think that would be really funny. And then the real cheat code is you just get to be Xaden.
That's kind of what Ciri is in this video game, where you just have moments where you get to be Ciri. And this new game, I wonder if it's all about Ciri and you just get moments where you get to be Geralt.
We don't know how the last game ended because we had to restart that game when we were like 70 hours in or more. We were like 170 hours in and restarted it. So we had to get a new Xbox.
Hundreds and hundreds of hours on this game.
Several hundreds, yes.
And we never even made it 50% because of
Well, to be fair, it's because you and I don't play video games the same way.
You're a completionist, and in this open world thing, that is insane.
It's really hard, but I like doing everything 100%, and you like becoming rich. That is easily my favorite thing. I go through and hoard things because I'm like, oh, what if I can't find some of this later? And then I go back in there and you've sold all of my shit, but we're very wealthy.
I also don't like training up and getting better at any of the skills. I just want to explore, ride horses, buy and sell things. Oh, and get a huge collection of clothes. It's the same thing in Mario Odyssey, where I just want all of the outfits and get and collect everything. And you're like, no, we have actual missions to do. I'm like, but do we? We can just enjoy the world.
Yeah, we play things very differently. I'm like, oh, that cool. What if I could defeat this guy without using this power? And you're like, okay, but what if we had a new tunic? It was made of gold and diamonds and angel feathers.
Or I would take him into the bars to go see the
ladies.
The ladies.
Yes. Yeah, you were far more about the prostitutes and I was more about the strumpets. That was your thing. I remember you just being excited, waving all the strumpets on your way by, and I'm like, I don't know that you would do well in a game like this.
For the Fourth Wing or the Empyrean video game, not enough strumpets.
Not enough strumpets. We need more Liam and more strumpets. Like your mama's cheeks, we gotta split this one.
We got a little long-winded there, so we're gonna make a part 2.
I'll see you in part 2, motherfuckers. It was a great time. We had fun. Now get out and go live your life.
No, wait. No. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate and love you all. Please follow us here, TikTok or Instagram at Shadow Daddies Podcast.
And then go live your life.
Bye.
Bye. Get out. We're done. This was Daggers and Shadow Daddies. Now it's my time. Toodaloo. It was fun for us. I hope it was fun for you. But that's all we've got. Goodbye. Come back in a few days. We love you.